Guys, the market is crashing. You need to sell all your Pokemon cards right now. Just kidding, though. But on some real talk, today we're going to talk about why I actually think selling is really important to Pokemon collectors and how it will improve your collection and overall happiness in the hobby. And I'm not saying that you should go crazy and sell everything you own, but I do think it's super good to dip your toes in selling and just see where it takes you. And if you sold cards before, maybe just push it a little bit harder and see where it goes to. Just from my perspective, literally selling cards has helped me improve my collection, and I'm not over exaggerating when I say this either, but it's helped improve my life in a lot of ways. It's honestly kind of ridiculous, but real quick for perspective, I remember when I first started around, it was when Hidden Fates first came out. I was super stressed on spending like $200 on a handful of Hidden Fates ETBs, and I ended up selling some cards that I pulled that were duplicates to help recoup my losses, and that's how I started. And now it's led me to owning cards that I never thought I'd ever own, if we're being super real. Like, look at this. I can do the weird rapper money thing, but with PSA cards. Before we get started, though, I do want to talk about this mentality, and that is the mentality of, but bro, like, if you sell your cards, then you're not a real collector. And I could go in on this, but we'll keep it quick about the disclaimer. But I just feel like a lot of people have that mindset, in that it's kind of purist, it's kind of elitist, if we're being real, and it's kind of gatekeeping in a weird way, where it's like, dude, like, people will be like, bro, if you didn't start in 2012 or like some random obscure year when I started, then you're not a real collector, bro. Like, bruh, like, if you didn't start collecting Pokemon cards out of the womb, then you're not a real collector. And there's just so many things where it's like, you're not a real collector if you do this, you're not a real collector if you do that. But yeah, it's dumb. Like, you and I both know that we're gonna keep cards that we super enjoy. Like, dude, look, I'm like, look at all these. Probably keep all of these. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. Keep a lot of them. I feel like sometimes Pokemon is a who is more of a collector measuring contest, and that's kind of annoying. But if I'm being real, I genuinely do think that if you start selling, it makes you a better collector than purist collectors, because at the end of the day, you're learning more about the markets, you're learning more about nuance, and you do it exponentially faster. If we're being real, if you incorporate selling into your collecting routine, you learn so much more, so much faster, and you'll learn things that you can literally only learn from selling. But now that that's done, let's just get into why I think selling cards is super important. Number one, experience. But for real though, I do think the most important aspect of why you should start selling is to gain experience. If just for that one reason alone, I recommend everyone do that. Just for that one reason. Experience is super crucial, and if I'm being super real with you guys, I've learned way more about life in the past year selling Pokemon cards than I did in 18 years of school, which is honestly, truthfully, kind of tragic. But that's discussion not for this channel. It's for another channel, maybe one day. You'll learn a lot from selling, honestly. You'll learn how to price things accordingly and understand market price. You'll see what things are selling for, and then you can figure out what you can sell your item for. And then you can see the prices go up and down and up and down. Everything fluctuates. You can see how everything moves, and then you can learn the pros and cons of platforms. You can learn why eBay is good and why eBay is bad. You can learn why Mercari is good and why Mercari is bad. And then you can learn why everyone sells in person and tries to get cash from you. You'll learn how to pack things and how to ship them properly so you don't send people damaged cards. Like I received damaged cards the other day that I'm so hurt about. But that's an aside. You'll develop customer service skills, which I think is really important for life in general. But, I mean, all of these are actually. But you'll learn how to deal with scams, sketchy people. The list goes on and on. There's literally so many things you learn. And like I said earlier, all these lessons are applicable to so many avenues of life, in my opinion. These skills are skills people have that they use to make full livings off of them. And you'll be able to learn them by selling into a market that you have a real passion for. And what really more can you ask for, honestly, if I'm being super real? Like, that's super dope. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? I just get really excited about it because it's super fun and it's super dope, and I just want other people to experience it in a way, because it's really fun. How I see it in a way is it's almost like selling Pokemon cards is a hands-on economics class, but with real life tangible experience. Because before this, I didn't know how to sell things. I didn't know how to make money doing something I like. I didn't know any of these things. It literally changed my life. Like, I got to be my own teacher and do my own things and do things my own way. And it feels great. Sorry if I sound like an infomercial, but it's just honestly so crazy the amount of things that I've learned since I started selling. And it's just, you just got to keep pushing and pushing and keep going and going. And I really do think it really pays off. It gives you a lot of self-confidence too. That's what happened to me. But yeah, all these go really, really far. So I know, I feel like I'm like a stock guru, or like, you know, the stock guru ads. Buy AMC though. Reason 2 for selling is selling super improves your collection, like a ridiculous amount. So you're probably wondering how selling something and getting rid of it improves your collection, but we're gonna get into that as soon as I let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. There's so many classes to choose from, including music, photography, graphic design, and even economics and stock market investing. I've been taking the course The Creative Toolkit, 6 Techniques to Spark Original Ideas by Esteban Gost. It's really helped me improve my day-to-day habits and allow me more time to work on more projects, which should mean more videos for you guys. Hopefully. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And also, don't forget, the first 1,000 people to click the link below will receive a free 1-month trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. Anyways, selling your cards to improve your collection is probably the most attractive reason to do so for most collectors. As I stated earlier, I literally wouldn't have... Oh, I'm using the Skillshare voice, but... Alright, yo, so we're back to normal voice. But as I was saying, I wouldn't have the collection I do if I didn't start selling. That's just being, like, super honest and super real. Because at the end of the day, it's super hard to justify purchasing cardboard for hundreds of dollars. Makes no sense logically, unless you have massive disposable income to do so, which most of us don't have. So this is where selling comes in. It gives us so many different opportunities and gives us a lot more freedom. You, us, either way. It gives you a lot more freedom when you start doing it. So I'm going to tell you guys a story time, lol. So I said this earlier, but when I first started, I could barely afford Hidden Fates boxes for retail without being distressed. I'm talking like $200 I was distressed on, because that was a lot to spend on Pokemon cards at the time. And I mean, $200 is still a lot, but I've climbed the thresholds, you know what I mean? Basically, during that time period, I was like, how do I get more cards? I need more cards. I have a problem. So I started selling duplicates to help recoup some of my losses. So with that money that I gained back from the duplicates, I was able to at least justify purchasing more Pokemon cards. So I definitely sold those cards for a loss. I probably sold maybe, what, $40 worth of cards from $200 worth of boxes. I did get to keep extra cards that I liked though, so that's a dub. But the concept I'm trying to say is it helped me learn to stretch my money a little bit more. And I feel like that's like the starting step. Because at the end of the day, that $200 turned to $240 worth of things because I sold back some of the stuff I didn't like. Before, cards almost felt like a waste of money, but once I started buying and selling, it felt as though cards were assets, which they actually are if you think about it. They have their own intrinsic value, and that value can work for you. I feel as though if you're only collecting, you kind of lose sight of that. You lose sight that these cards are valuable and that you can sell them and you can get that money back and put it back into more cards. And I think it's just a really good skill set to have, to be able to sell a card and then get that money back and put it into something better that you actually like or want more. Also, sorry, I know it sounds super simple. Yes, sell your card, you can buy something else with it. It sounds so simple, but for me, none of this clicked until I just sold my first card to begin with. And I really want to just push people to just sell a card so you can experience it. And from there, everything just snowballs. Because once you start selling cards, you'll see yourself being able to put more money into cards and be less financially strained. And so you'll be buying more. And then the more you buy, the more you learn about the process of buying and all the deals in between. And if you're selling while you're constantly buying, then you'll be improving your collection while getting rid of the stuff you don't want. And if you spend enough time doing it, then you'll start to learn that there's actually a lot of deals and steals. Like, I promise you, if you guys grind it out enough, you'll see deals where you can buy a card and sell it and make $100 profit easy. And then you use that money to buy something else you really want. Don't ever let anyone tell you that deals don't exist. If you can't find a deal, you're not trying hard enough. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's for real. No matter the context, whether if Pokemon cards are super hot, whether they're not, deals are everywhere. Just don't limit where you look and don't get discouraged. It's a grind and it's a lot to learn, but selling is integral and it really does speed up the rate in which your collection grows. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. So for me personally, after I was selling Hidden Fate singles for a huge loss, it super clicked that people do buy Pokemon cards. So I started researching other cards that people buy that were kind of expensive, and I started seeking out those cards. And when you're in the back of your head, when you buy a card and you know you can sell it for more than you bought it for, it's an easy buy. And for me, I just kept buying cards. I bought out collections, I bought out a bunch of different things, and I just kept buying and buying and buying cards and just selling a lot of cards so I could keep the cards I really, really wanted, the cards I wanted to grade, the cards I wanted for my collection, and I just sold the cards that I didn't really care about. And it is very rinse and repeat, and it's very cyclical, but it's so fun. It's super, super fun and very, very rewarding. And so without selling, I never would be where I'm at right now, honestly, if I'm being real. If I held on to everything, I would just be a hoarder. Literally, my collection would just be a bunch of bulk, probably some modern, a bunch of GXs, maybe some Vs, and whatever random cards I got from packs. And who wants to live like that? All right, reason 3, perspective. So as a collector, what are you doing the most often? The answer is buying. As a collector, if you're a collector, you're probably going to be buying Pokemon cards most of the time. And so, on the other side is a seller. And so basically, without a seller, nobody ever owns Pokemon cards. So in a way, if you really do think about it, selling is 50% of the hobby, lol. But the point I'm trying to get at with this is if you start selling, it just shows you a whole nother world. Because yeah, as a collector, you can be like, oh wow, this card is dope. And you can slowly kind of piece together what's rare and what's not as time goes on. But as a seller, you'll start to understand what sells quick and why. You'll start to see what sits. You'll start to see exactly when a card gets momentum. And in a way, it pretty much just puts you in the front seat of the hobby. You're on the ride and you're in the front because you see trends as soon as they happen. And you'll understand when the market's hot, you'll understand when it's cold, you'll see all the signs and be able to piece it together so much faster. That's like super important so you can keep ahead of trends and almost try to predict trends before they even happen. So this is like a basketball card example, but I sell a lot of basketball cards on my eBay. But recently I have these boxes that have been sitting for not ever, but I priced them to where they would sell good for me, but they've been sitting for a while. And recently I've been getting so many watchers and so many offers. So obviously those are starting to pick up momentum for whatever reason. And maybe it's like a YouTuber talked about it, or maybe people are prepping for some weird thing, but it allows me to keep my hand on that heartbeat and kind of just feel where it's going. So maybe I can expect more people to want those later in the future, in the next couple months locally for trades and stuff like that. So you can apply that to all types of different types of Pokemon cards too. Like once you start seeing momentum on certain types of cards, you can kind of expect other people to add to that momentum later, and you can really use that to your advantage. And then also with the perspective of the seller, you'll be a much better buyer. Your purchases will be so much more informed and thought out. With your experience as a seller, you'll be able to purchase with more intent. When you start developing your selling style, you can kind of see how other people sell. So one good example I would say is, obviously there's some people who sell a bunch of graded cards, but then they'll sell raw cards too. And obviously if they're selling a bunch of graded cards, there's a reason they're probably selling their raw cards and not grading them. So by being a seller, I mean, that's like a basic like tip, but by being a seller, you learn all these little weird nuanced things that other sellers do. And it really helps you out as a buyer to avoid certain situations you don't want to get into or get crazy good deals. And then also too, as you start amassing data from selling, you kind of, it goes back to what I was saying, you know what sits, what doesn't, you know what goes, and you know what doesn't go. And so that really does inform your purchase for how you want to use it later. Like if you're buying something to sell it later, it makes that decision so much more knowledgeable because you know how the market is. You know the reasons why certain things sit and the reasons why certain things don't. Alright guys, last reason, and I'm going to be quick on this one because I'm so tired. I stayed up way too late making this video. I thought it would be done forever ago. But letting go is healthy. It really is. It's okay to let things go, guys. Just let it go. Just let it be free. Because literally you'll free up so much mental space and physical space if you let a bunch of cards go. I know a lot of people, I talked about this earlier, but sometimes if you're holding on to too many things, you're not collecting, you're just hoarding. There's probably so many cards that you have that you don't even remember you have, and that you could just sell. You could just sell it, and then you'll even forget that you had it the next day. I swear. And then those funds, like I said, it goes back to that snowball effect I talked about in part 2, or reason 2. But it's a snowball effect. You use those funds, and it all snowballs from there. And I'm gonna be real. I know there's a bunch of cards that all of you guys have that you're not gonna miss if you sell them and put them into cards that you will actually really, really care about. Just gotta let it go. Whatever reason you're holding on to things, just let it go, dude. I mean, that applies to life too. But I really do think it is healthy, and I really think it's a good muscle to exercise. It's just that ability to have something and just be able to give it up. Not this card though, because I love this card. But let me find a better example. Like, bro, I don't care about this card. Like, this first edition Pokemon Center, I do not give a heck about. I could let it go and forget I even owned it because I have no strong attachments to it at all. It just takes up space, and it's like, I think these go for $50. This could be $50 put into another card that I genuinely care about way more. There's a handful of cards in this pile where I don't have it. It's that whole what's that one cleaning lady? She's like, if it doesn't bring you joy, just move it. Just let it go, guys. It's really okay to let it all go. Alright guys, I am sorry, I was tired for a lot of this video, so I hope it was coherent and it was helpful to you guys. I hope I brought you guys joy into your lives. But yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. Please if you made it this far, do all the YouTube stuff. Tell me something. Tell me your favorite card. Tell me a card you're gonna sell. Say something in the comments below. You know, YouTube stuff. But shout outs to you guys. Appreciate you guys always. Always appreciate all the support. And I'll see you guys in the next video. But yeah, go make some sales. Go make some mogul moves. Let me know how it goes for you guys. Tell me. I really like hearing from you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.